Hey Bernie, Tim Handren, your mayor here, just giving you another update today. Today I have joining me is Rich Sena from the Boerne ISD, or the Boerne Independent School District. And I invited Rich to join me just because it's another important part of our community that I wanted to talk about today. But before I get going and asking Rich a few questions, just want to provide a little bit more clarity around this whole thing about masks. Remember, we talked about this a couple days ago, and the CDC put out new guidance last Friday that said if you're going to a place like a grocery store or like a Home Depot where you cannot guarantee that you can maintain your social distance of 6 feet between people, you ought to wear a mask. And the idea there was, in case you are a carrier of COVID-19 and you don't know it, it's more about protecting others than it's about protecting yourself. Now, I've been to HEB the last couple of days, and I don't see too many people wearing masks. I have mine. My wife called me this morning when she was at HEB, and she said, there's not a lot of people wearing masks. Do I have to wear one? I said, absolutely you do. It's the CDC guidelines, and we're all to follow CDC guidelines. Again, it's you don't have to get too complicated. Just put something around your nose and your mouth, and it's just to protect others from anything that you might be exhaling that could be potentially dangerous. So it is a CDC guideline. All the mandates in place say that you need to follow CDC guidelines. So I'll be visiting with HEB and Walmart and making sure that they start asking people to do that. It's still voluntary. I'm not putting it out there as a city mandate today, but if we don't see a change in behavior and we start to see a change in the spread of the virus, it's going to become mandatory. Just maybe start doing it. And if you did it today, it's only for a couple of weeks. And if you only go to HEB once or twice a week, this isn't a huge request of folks. Okay, let's talk about the school just for a second. This thing came on us pretty fast. I know that if I look, God, it seems like a long time we've been dealing with this already from a city and a community standpoint. But when school went on spring break was kind of when they first had to start dealing with this. How have the teachers responded? They're so important to what's going on in our community. How have they responded, Rich?
Well, overall, they've responded beautifully. As you know, basically Governor Abbott put us in a lockdown situation on March 19th, but spring break was before that, and it became pretty clear that there was a strong likelihood we would not be returning to school following spring break. So therefore, our curriculum and instruction department went into overdrive, and they worked nights and they worked weekends to prepare for this eventuality. And what they were able to provide our teachers was some standardized lessons from K through 12 so that it gave the teachers some time to adapt to a new environment of instruction. Because essentially, in a matter of just a couple of days, we went from an instruction method of in classroom to a remote learning. And though the vast overwhelming majority of our students have access to the internet, it's not 100%. So not only did we have to prepare for online learning and video conferencing, but also lesson packets to be distributed to over 1,000 kids a week who don't have the internet at home. And so how our teachers have responded is really incredible. There's so many good stories to share. I was out walking the other day in Boerne in the space of less than an hour. I ran into it was on a Sunday, so the day off. I ran into 5 BISD employees, coach, administrator, and 3 teachers. And I asked them how their lives were going. And each one of them said, we're working harder now than we do at normal times because we might be answering emails at night to parents. We're doing one-on-one lessons with kids that need extra help. We are doing video conferencing with our classes. And I was able to sit in on one class yesterday, a 3rd grade class, Leanne Bodie's at Currington Elementary, and it was a great time. The kids were excited to see each other. They were excited to see their teacher. There was the music teacher on, the nurse, the librarian, the phys ed teacher, and the kids all started out with what good news they could share. And a lot of times the school day starts off with good news sharing because it's part of the whole child initiative that we've got in Boerne ISD, where it's not just math, reading, and writing, it's character development. And so what the whole child emphasizes is things like character and integrity and honesty and teamwork and respect. And so as the students share what's been going on in their lives, it builds those character elements. So Shout out to our every one of our district employees and our teachers for doing, I think, in terms of the situation, as good a job as they can. No one questions that it's better to be in the classroom, but when that's not possible, we still have the responsibility of educating our 9,600 kids, and that's what we do.
I know in my neighborhood, when I'm walking around and I talk to some of the parents who are walking out a lot of frustration every single day now that they're homeschooling, and I've seen some pretty funny comments out there about spanking of children and prayers back in school these days. I know that the overwhelmingly I hear them all saying that the teachers are having to reach out a lot more often because this is very different, making sure people get their homework turned in. So I know your teachers are doing an amazing job. I think another thing that's important, I know when this first started out, you guys were very, very quick to say you're still going to be distributing meals to the community. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys, why you did it, and how you continue to provide meals to a lot of this community?
Well, about 18% of our kids are on free or reduced school breakfast and lunch programs. And people think, well, Kendall County, Boerne is an affluent community, and overall it is, but we certainly have our element of poverty. And when we were still able to volunteer to deliver meals in the first couple of days of the closure, now it's simply district employees that are temperature checked and face masked as they deliver the meals. It was amazing how people would drive up, and from a socially distant point of view, they would say, hey, this is a lifesaver. It really helps. My spouse's hours got cut in half. We're not taking the money that we had before. This really helps us out. And it's just helping neighbor. And when we did have a volunteer situation set up, the volunteer roles were filled up in no time at all because people wanted to help others in our community. We've served over 5,000 meals since the closure began. I believe it's about 800 a day, roughly, something like that, with 2 locations at Middle School South and also Currington Elementary.
Wow. The school is such an essential part of our community. There's no question about that. And again, on that particular aspect of it, I've heard great things about what the teachers have done. And it's one of those, you look for silver linings in a bad situation, and how you guys have responded has been pretty freaking amazing.
Good morning, Greyhounds. You know what day it is. Everybody say it with me now. It's Friday. I think what's important right now is for you just to continue to work hard in your schoolwork, and more importantly, take care of your families and each other. I know that there's a lot of families that are struggling financially.
Morning BHS, Coach Eisenberg here. Favorite 2019-2020 school memory?
This sure is some crazy times that we're living in right now, but hopefully you're getting your work done, you're staying positive, and being productive. That's probably the most important thing, is that you remain productive.
I'm going to throw you a curveball right now. I've been asked a question, what if this goes further into May? What are you guys going to do for graduation this year?
That's a decision that Dr. Price, our superintendent, and his team are going to have to recommend. I really can't comment on that right now. I would say that whether it's proms that were postponed or anything, we've never seen times like this before. And just like my parents and grandparents could tell me where they were on December 7th, 1941 with the attack on Pearl Harbor, and I certainly knew where I was on September 11th with the attack on the World Trade Center and the Department of Defense, the Pentagon. We won't forget these times. We won't forget it. It's something that we've never really seen in our lifetimes. Sure, there was the pandemic of the Spanish flu in 1918, but we haven't seen that here. And I will quote our Faber Elementary principal, Troy Ladiolis, who said, "Tough situations build strong people." So I think how we have to look at this is, what can we learn from this experience? How can we be better? What tools that we're utilizing in a new method of educational instruction can be used in the future? How is it going to change education? So I don't have an answer to the specific question, but hopefully we as a community will learn a lot. And you know this as mayor of our town, and we really greatly appreciate these daily briefings that you're doing. It communicates with people. It's awesome, Tim. You've had some great guests on. And we have a fantastic community. When you look at the sheer number of organizations, nonprofits that we have in Boerne that help people in need, and it's not just the money that's given, it's the volunteer time that's put in. We are blessed to live in Boerne, Texas. I've lived in 3 different states. This is by far the best community I've ever lived in. I love it. It's home. You were asking about the meals. There's a group called Blessings in a Backpack. It's a great local organization. And on Friday, they deliver, bags to go in backpacks for kids that have food insecurity. And people may not believe that happens in Boerne, but it does. And so I think the community's chipped in, and I'm proud of our town.
I just think that we are demonstrating the chutzpah, if you will, or the character and the integrity of the people that live here. I think what you guys have done in the school has been great. You guys watching this at home today, if you watched yesterday's video, we did a highlight of Hill Country Daily Bread, and what Agnes and that team is doing over there is just absolutely amazing. So that's all. Thanks for being here, Rich, and thanks for talking about what's going on with the school. Remember, we're halfway through this, in my opinion. All the curves are showing that we are slowing the spread. All the data is showing that this is working. I suspect when this is all said and done, there's still going to be people out there that are going to second guess what we did. You know that, I know that. People are going to say we overreacted. Maybe we saved a lot of lives too. But we're doing what we believe as a community has been right. Certainly what the folks from Dr. Fauci at the national level and our local levels, we've done all that we need to do just to remind everybody. It's really simple. Just got to stay home. If you're sick and you got symptoms, stay home. If you're out and about, wash your hands. If you haven't seen some of the videos on YouTube and other places, it's easy to have cross-contamination. After I'm done with this video, I immediately go wash my hands. I don't remember who's touched this. And when you go in public, just wear a mask if you can't guarantee your social distance. If you're out exercising, no need to wear a mask. But if you go to H-E-B, Walmart, or Home Depot, please put a mask on. It's just to protect others. It's not about protecting yourself. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in today, and we'll talk to you later this week.